Thanks, Jen. In an executive order that the president signed last week, he also suspended a Trump administration executive order that was particularly aimed at keeping foreign countries, specifically China, from interfering in the U.S. power grid. But he suspended that for 90 days in that executive order last week. Given what you said about China today, why did he do that, especially related to something so critical to our national security as the power grid?
New report tonight lifts the veil on a kind of invisible war, China unleashing its full spy power on American power grids and the wealth of American manufacturing. A new report even locates this building in Shanghai. It doesn't look threatening, but what are they doing inside, and what does it mean for America's national security? Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross.
The Chinese People's Liberation Army has more than 2 million personnel. But it is the 1,000 or so in this nondescript building in Shanghai that may pose the biggest threat to the U.S. This is the headquarters of the Army's secretive unit number 61398, where, according to the new report today by the Mandiant security firm, English-speaking computer experts spend their days stealing secrets from U.S. companies and hacking into government sites.
This is an espionage operation run by the Chinese People's Liberation Army, and it's targeting a broad swath of Western organizations.
Among the most troubling targets, American infrastructure sites, including water treatment plants, transportation control centers, pipelines, and power grids.
The only reason you would want to get into the control system for the power grid is to cause damage, destruction, and disruption.
Among the many corporate targets of the Chinese hackers, according to U.S. officials, Lockheed Martin, the country's largest defense contractor and the maker of the F-35 jet fighter. U.S. officials say, not surprisingly, the Chinese version of the plane has some distinct similarities.
It's costing, according to U.S. intelligence, hundreds of billions of dollars and thousands of U.S. jobs every year.
The White House today confirmed the severity, although not the details, of the Chinese cyber espionage.
We have repeatedly raised our concerns at the highest levels about cyber theft with senior Chinese officials.
But China remains in denial, according to ABC's Gloria Riviera in Beijing.
Today in China, the defense ministry denied any wrongdoing, saying the military has never supported any form of hacking activity. But when a BBC News team tried to film the building outside Shanghai, military personnel confiscated the footage.
Of course, the U.S. is believed to be doing its own cyber attacks on Iran and its nuclear program. But officials say that is different than the economic espionage China is conducting. And President Obama has now ordered government agencies to help American companies spot and deter hackers from that secret army building in Shanghai. Diane.
All right, Brian Ross, thank you.
Right to our top story. Yes, that relentless winter blast slamming much of the country, George.
Yeah, that's a look at Oklahoma City right now. You see the snow is coming down. It's just 11 degrees there. Oklahoma, just one of 22 states where the storm is impacting the vaccine rollout. At least 22 states have delayed or canceled COVID vaccinations as more than 3.3 million people are waking up without power this morning across at least 8 states, Michael.
And Texas with the overwhelming majority of those power outages. Just look at most of Houston in the dark. We're going to go to Marcus Moore with the very latest from Dallas this morning. Good morning, Marcus.
Michael, good morning. Another round of wintry weather is hitting an area already paralyzed by that first storm. And this morning, snow and ice covering the region as many people remain in the dark.
This morning, Arctic air, power grids failing, and millions left to cope with the bitter cold. Amarillo, Texas getting pummeled with snow overnight. Cars and trucks sliding off the road. Tow trucks out rescuing drivers as temperatures drop near zero. Part of the Lone Star State hitting record low temperatures not seen in a century. And people are cranking up the heat, which is taxing the state's electrical system, leading to cascading power outages and rolling blackouts. This morning, more than 3 million waking up without power.
This is tragic. We hadn't had power since 5 a.m. yesterday.
The cold and loss of power turning deadly. At least 20 people have died, including an 8-year-old girl and a woman, dying from carbon monoxide poisoning after a car was left running in a garage to help create heat. In Houston, hospitals treating at least 140 patients, including a mother and child in critical condition after using charcoals indoors to stay warm. And outrage over images like this. Skyscrapers lit up in Houston while surrounding neighborhoods were left in the dark.
What is going on right now is completely unacceptable.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott speaking to our ABC station, KTRK.
We are going to have to restructure to make sure that situations like this never occur again.
And while Houston's mayor was at home also speaking to KTRK, they were plunged into darkness.
People have made some life and death choices because they were trying to keep themselves warm.
Oh no, we just lost power.
But for the millions bundled up with no electricity, this has been life for days.
In this room in our house, it is 33 degrees.
In Austin, Andrew Leahy and his wife finding ways to keep warm.
You'll see a blanket here and blue Scotch tape. We're doing anything possible to keep the heat in.
Energy providers have been able to restore power to some of the homes and businesses here, but it's only a fraction compared to the millions who have been without power for days. And Michael, it likely won't be restored to any significant degree until the temperatures here get back above freezing.
We hope that's soon, Marcus. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. This is what the Chinese President Xi Jinping, who was then the Chinese Vice President, must have said to Joe Biden, who is now the current President and then the Vice President of the United States of America. There's so much symmetry here. I just love it. But what I love more is the story itself. Oh, what a story. So let me take you straight to the story without further ado. Hi, I am Atul Mishra and this is TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. President Joe Biden's love for Chinese President Xi Jinping is not unknown. Recently, in an interview with CBC News, the newly inaugurated president had gone on to drool over the Chinese dictator, saying, "He's very bright, he's very tough." In the same interview, Biden has remarked that he saw no reason not to call the CCP General Secretary, who likes to be referred to as the Chinese president. So on Wednesday night, Washington time that is, the US president dialed Xi Jinping in Beijing. Interestingly, Biden's time of calling Xi Jinping has caught the attention of many. While Biden called Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga at 1 a.m., and we are talking about Tokyo time here, the Chinese president was called at the time of his convenience. Effectively, Joe Biden burnt the midnight oil to speak to Xi Jinping, only to end up indulging in cheesy sweet talk and exchange of Lunar New Year greetings. Well, at least Japan's PM Suga received a call from Biden as opposed to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is being ignored by the 78-year-old president as if his heart was broken by Bibi. But why, you may ask, did Joe Biden keep 72-year-old Yoshihide Suga up until 1 in the morning to receive a call from the White House, even when Xi Jinping was called at a time of convenience? Well, Biden is going overboard, trying to placate the CCP General Secretary, and then there is also the added fact of the Biden-Xi friendship dating back to 2011-2012, when many believe the then US Vice President made Xi Jinping aware of a brewing coup against him back in China while the latter was touring Washington, D.C. Joe Biden seems to have scant regard for allies like Japan and Israel, even as he works overtime to please the Chinese tyrant. According to a report by Nikkei, the memories of 2012 are back to haunt Joe Biden as he goes out of his way to fix Sino-American ties. On Feb 6, 2012, Wang Lijun, then the vice mayor of Chongqing, sought refuge at the US consulate in Chengdu. Wang was a close aide to Bo Xilai, the top party officials in Chongqing. Wang reportedly told US officials that Bo's wife was behind the murder of a British businessman. In doing so, Wang passed off highly classified and valued intelligence to the Americans, purportedly of a plot by Bo Xilai to block Xi Jinping's bid of becoming the Chinese Communist Party General Secretary, which would make him the Chinese president as well. It is said that on his visit to Washington, D.C., where Xi Jinping held hours of talk with his counterpart, an anti-Jinping plot was revealed to the Chinese vice president, who revealed Bo Xilai's rumored takedown of Xi Jinping to the Chinese vice president. Many believe that it was none other than the now US President Joe Biden. When Xi Jinping returned to China loaded with information about a rebellion against him brewing in the CCP ranks, Bo's career went into a downward spiral. Xilai was soon incarcerated at Qingcheng prison, about 50 kilometers north of central Beijing. The facility is famous for holding first-degree political criminals. It thus becomes clear that the bonhomie between Joe Biden and Xi Jinping is not new. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden seems to have played a pivotal role in making Xi the Chinese president. Despite having saved Jinping's political career, it is still Biden who has to remain subservient to the CCP General Secretary, which speaks volumes about his incapacity to hold the coveted office that he is in right now.
To something so critical to our national security as the power grid.
I think the president's view on our relationship with China, I tried to do my best to convey to all of you. I'll have to